Hi there, Xeonexis coming in. And today we're going to be talking about how to advance your base faster than your enemy. Well, actually guys, there is only one trick to this trade, and that is getting more supply containers than the enemy. So the secret in doing this is managing to get your infantry out as early as you can. So this may involve some investment in some golden boosts such as the infantry scout boost. At the same time, you might want to utilize at least a red or a blue infantry training boost. So the thing is, the earlier you get your infantry out, the better. So for example here, I have managed to collect 2 supply containers near my base. But another thing I keep in mind is, I always prioritize supply containers that are nearest to the enemy base. So you may have noticed that instead of going downward to collect the supply containers, I moved my infantry towards the direction of the enemy base. It's because I wanted to collect the supply containers there first faster than the enemy. So here you can see me collect a supply container that would normally have been collected by the enemy, and I managed to grab it first. I was planning to grab the supply container here on the top side, but I noticed that the enemy already has an infantry there. There we go. So instead, I managed to collect the 2 supply containers on the left side right here. And for now, if in terms of supply container collection count, I think the enemy has so far collected only 1 supply container. So here, you can see me then using my infantry that I trained additionally, I used them to collect the remaining supply containers near my base. So here's my pattern again guys. Collect the supply containers near the enemy base first, and then you collect the ones near your base. So you might wanna prioritize getting that so that the enemy will not have enough resources to develop his base. So if you look at it, he has only 3 supply centers and a level 2 headquarters. Meanwhile, I'm already at 5 supply containers, a shipyard, and probably developing my assault vehicle factory to level 2. This is because I don't want any fortresses scouting my base, so I want to produce armadillos in advance. Another mistake that the enemy made here is not collecting the supply containers on the sea. So guys, if you want to develop your base faster than your enemy, again, collecting supply containers is important. And that includes collecting those at the sea, alright? So since I noticed that my enemy built away from the sea, I just simply built 1 Cayman because I know I will dominate the sea and no enemy will contest the containers here at the sea. So after collecting all the supply containers here at the sea, I just destroyed my shipyard. It's because it has no point. I mean, naval units at this point cannot reach the enemy base. So that's it. So right now, I am at a gold construction boost and upgrading my headquarters to level 3 as soon as possible. So if we look back at the enemy base, so far he only has 3 supply centers, 3 barracks, level 2 headquarters, and a power plant. And meanwhile, here you can see me collect another supply container at the sea, which really put me ahead of the enemy. Alright? So now, if we look at my base, I have a level 3 headquarters, 7 supply centers. Guys, always remember, before you upgrade your headquarters, be sure that you have maxed out your supply centers. Like, you need 5 supply centers at level 2 headquarters before you proceed to level 3, so that you will maximize your advantage. So I immediately upgraded my assault vehicle factory to level 3. At the same time, started to build myself an avia factory. Here you can see me collect another supply container. So here, my job here is pretty simple for now. The moment you get ahead of the enemy, and the enemy knows that you have collected most of the supply containers, he probably knows that you are ahead of him in terms of developing your base. So what you want to be doing here is making sure that you are not scouted, or you can also do it the other way around. Letting your enemy scout your base and letting him see that you have a level 3 headquarters and this and that. But sometimes, there are some enemies that instantly surrender, but there will be some enemies who will rapidly produce some forces and then try to rush your base. Also, that's a second thing you need to take care of. You need to be aware of. Beware of rushes. So you need to scout the enemy base and you need to take control of the map as early as you can. So here you can see my rifleman and my Cayman take a look at the enemy's base and my rifleman securing the bridge. So to make sure that if the enemy does plan to rush me or plans to send a fortress to scout my base, I will know in advance what to do. So here you can see that the enemy has a lot of heavy assaults, and I know that if those heavy assaults attack my base, I am dead. So what I did was just secure the bridge, so you can see my Jaguar siege up, and you can see me produce a lot of riflemen. For now, I know that the enemy has, I think, a level 3 or level 2 headquarters. I am not sure about that. But the point is, I used my resource advantage to build myself some units, at the same time produce some riflemen to counter those heavy assaults, because man, they are a lot. Look at that. Those are like ants. Alright? So there you can see me produce a lot of Jaguars, produce some porcupines for the machine gun, and of course some hawks for the air power. So we are so ahead of the enemy. Alright? So here you can see me positioned on the hill. So I have used the attack boost, common attack boost. It's because I want the extra range. Yes, a lot of people usually say the gold defense boost is good at the early game. It's because it gives you 30% damage. However, what I want is not the damage here. What I want is the range. Because that extra 1 second where the enemy has to walk just to get to you can be a lot of difference in terms of winning engagements. So here you can see my hawks, my jaguars, and my units slowly sieging the enemy base. You want to maximize your advantage. Don't give the enemy time to recover, alright? Because usually if the enemy manages to get 5 supply centers or 7 supply centers, then they will eventually catch up. But you can also do rush to headquarters level 4, but the enemy will also be headquarters level 3. And the enemy can easily rush to headquarters level 4 if he wants to. So right now, I don't want that to happen. Instead, I'm attacking with headquarters level 3 units. You can see that I am forcing the enemy to build some air defenses, anti-airs. And if you calculate the resources, that costs 250 resources. So if the enemy was planning to upgrade the assault vehicle factory, produce more units, or maybe even upgrade headquarters, that is gonna cost them more. So here, 250. At the same time, you can see that a lot of heavy assaults are in the enemy, defending the enemy base, which can potentially attack me. So again, what I do is simply counter. What counters heavy assaults? Simple. It's either snipers or riflemen. And since I know that my rifleman is upgraded better, that is why I spam them better rather than building myself some snipers. So here you can see my rifleman attacking the enemy. So there. Also, while attacking the enemy, don't forget to build units on your base. So a lot of players usually just focus on the fight, but usually forget that they should start producing units. So don't forget that, guys. While you are attacking, be sure that your base is also producing tanks, riflemen, or whatever you have, factories that can help you or support your units later on. So you can see my jaguars and my porcupine back off because they can be easily destroyed by heavy assaults. However, my riflemen will keep on fighting the heavy assaults because they are very good against them. As you can see, the enemy heavy assault is very tough. But now my porcupines are slowly picking them off one by one. Again, continue with the pressure. The good thing about resistance is they are so good at pressuring the enemy. So the more pressure you give the enemy, the better. So here, I take my position up the hill again and continue to siege the enemy. And you see my base is still producing a lot of units. And with the units I have produced a while ago during the engagement, I continue pressuring the enemy. As much as possible, my goal here is to destroy the enemy production facilities such as the assault vehicle factory or the barracks themselves, because these heavy assaults are starting to get very annoying. So here, you can see my jaguars siege up and prioritizing attacking the enemy barracks. Meanwhile, my riflemen and my porcupines are moving around kiting the enemy heavy assault fire. As you can see, the enemy has managed to produce Zeus right now, but I am ahead. Why? It's because as far as information is concerned, I know that the enemy only has 3 barracks, 1 level 3 assault vehicle factory, and some supply centers. Meanwhile, we already have 7 supply centers, level 2 avia factory, level 3 assault vehicle factory, and of course 4 barracks. So there, just continue pressuring the enemy. I have managed to destroy 1 of the barracks and now moving forward to the second barracks. The more production facilities you destroy, the lesser the chance that the enemy can stop your attack. So make sure that you destroy the buildings producing the units rather than the units themselves, to make sure that the enemy cannot produce more units that can stop you. So here, the enemy already has 2 Zeus, but I have already sent my Hawks to destroy the anti-air towers. So my goal here is to simply destroy the anti-air towers, and I have 2 goals there. It's to destroy them so that nobody attacks my Hawks, and number 2, it's to force the enemy to commit more resources in building anti-air towers. Because if the enemy doesn't have any anti-air towers, that means he is very vulnerable for air attack. So here, some of my Hawks were sacrificed during the process, but you can see my units still sieging the enemy base. And right now, I have managed to destroy the barracks that was located in front, and now my Jaguars are moving forward to good spots where they can reach the enemy base or enemy facilities. So now that the enemy has no anti-air, my Hawks are free to roam around the skies. So the enemy here has 2 options. Either build anti-air towers, which will cost him resources, which will be very bad for him because he cannot produce more Zeus or heavy assaults, or of course produce more units and suffer the fate of being attacked by Hawks from the sky. So yeah, and that's how you develop your base and use your advantage to the enemy. Just simply pressure them, guys. So that's it. At this point, I was victorious because now I have more units that support my initial army, and at the same time, the enemy no longer cannot produce enough units to stop my attack. And that's all for this guide. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment them down below. Xeonexis over and out.